Hi, everyone, and welcome back. I want to talk to you a little bit today about grief. I'm surrounded with so many who are in such profound grief. And as I shared with you before, most of my clientele are parents who have lost children, which to me is the hardest thing to try to overcome. There's no manual on grief, so everyone has to grieve in their own way. I have a real problem with people who get annoyed at those who have lost a loved one and they feel that they've mourned long enough, after 1 year or 2 year or 3 years, or in children's cases or any loved one's case, 5, 10 years later, you still find yourself missing that loved one. And I'm here to say that you'll always miss that loved one. That's not, there is, like I say, no manual on grief. So everyone has to grieve in their own way, in their own time. I have a very dear friend who I met several years ago who lost a son very, very tragically. And she came to me as for a reading. But what happened from it was she was so happy with the information she received that she decided to start coming to my classes. And she is a medium now. She isn't able to put the time into it that she would like to. She doesn't make it here as often as she would like to, but she's definitely learned how to connect to the next dimension, and that has helped her immensely in her personal life. But a very dear friend of hers told her years ago, several years after her child had died, that she needed to put her grief basically in a box and put it away and just go on with her life. And this person said to me, I can't be her friend anymore. I will never look at her in the same way. The worst thing that somebody can say to someone else is, I know how you feel, when they haven't walked in those shoes. I myself will never say to anyone who comes here that I know what they're going through. Even though I do this work and I'm able to connect to the next dimension, I will never say I know what it's like to lose a child. I came close, but with the grace of God, thank God, I didn't lose him, but I've come close. So I do this work and I feel the grief of others, but I do not know what it feels like. So I will say to people, I am profoundly sorry for your loss. And I will pray for you, but I don't know what they're going through. So we have to be very careful with our words and how we handle those who are going through grief. A lot of people, I did a reading the other night, and the person said, they won't even mention my son. Nobody mentions my son anymore, like he didn't exist. He's been gone for about a year. And I myself, I've lost many loved ones in my lifetime, and I need to talk about them, and I want to talk about them. And I know people close to me who have lost loved ones, and the one who lives on the other side sometimes is our main topic of conversation. We share wonderful stories. We always tend to go back to the last years or months or days, and as a spiritual medium, Janet Nohavik, who is a wonderful, outstanding evidential medium, she has a spiritualist church in Pompton Lakes, New Jersey, and she, will often say, it's our job to paint their loved ones back to life, because we tend to hang on to and remember the way they looked right before they passed, and that's not how they are anymore. So it's our job to kind of paint them back to life and help their loved ones to embrace and understand and see them how they are now, which is healthy and strong and living life in the spiritual sense. So that's something that I always try to do, whenever anybody comes here in grief. I also try strongly to remove all these myths and fears connected with what we do, with the firm understanding that only good resides on the other side. That's really important to me, that people understand that. So there is no journal on grief. There is no right way, there is no wrong way. Every single one of us have to grieve in our own way. What I do find helps me and helps many out there is prayer and meditation, because meditation prayer centers us, prayer connects us to our God, whoever that God is to you. Prayer helps connect us and helps us acknowledge this God. Through meditation, we can learn to really quiet that left brain down, which helps us become clear, open conduits to the other side, increasing our prayer life, helping us to become stronger. When our prayer life becomes stronger, when our faith becomes stronger, when the education becomes stronger, then we embrace and understand that they're really okay. They really are in a wonderful place. But especially this time of year, and I think that's why I chose to start these little clips again, because the holiday season is upon us, and I know for many it is such a sad time of year, because there will be an empty seat or two or three or four, where people used to sit and join. I found myself the other night just reminiscing and going back to Christmases, 30, 40 years ago, where I had my grandparents and cousins that are no longer with us, and aunts and uncles, and parents, mothers, fathers, grandparents. It's different, and it's bittersweet for me. New Year's Eve is very one of the saddest hours for me. That hour before it turns into the next year, because we have to leave behind all those that we loved and lost. So it's difficult. It's difficult for everyone. A lot of people think because I do this work that I don't grieve the same as everybody else. But true mediums, we grieve the same way. We miss the physical presence of our loved ones in our lives. And I don't have the ability just to call in who I want to call in to be with them from the other side. It's always up to them as far as who comes in, up to God and Spirit. Okay, so during this time of year especially, I know it's very difficult, but again, just try to pray and center yourself and meditate a little bit, and take your time. Take your time. If you need help, if you find that your grieving is bringing you to a place that's a little too dark, then seek out help in whatever any way that you feel you need it, whether it's going to talk to a priest if you're Catholic, or a minister if you follow another religion, whatever helps you, whatever can bring you that peace. We very often need to talk to someone. I know sometimes I need to go to my mentor and sit down and talk to this person and share my feelings, and I always walk away a little enlightened and feeling a little better. But this person always slaps me back to reality, and helps me to understand that, I have to stay strong, because I have a mission here. I have a job to do. And we all do. We all have a mission in life, whether the mission is to stay healthy and strong for ourselves, and acknowledge that we have to live our lives the best we can, this gift from God of life, until it's our time to begin life in the next dimension. Then that's our mission. For many people, the mission is, a little more difficult. Maybe their steps are a little heavier than most, but it's a mission, still the same, and we have to learn to embrace it, and we have to learn to be a teacher, and we have to learn to live our lives with grace and dignity the best that we can, acknowledging that in the end what matters most is that when we leave this planet, we'll leave many who will think of us in a good way, in a grateful way, and that's very important to me. Okay, so again, if you're grieving this holiday season, you're in my heart and in my thoughts and prayers, and I'm right there with you. It is a difficult time of year, but please understand that seat will not be empty on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, and the pew with the person who used to sit next to you in church will still be sitting there with you, and they will still take their place at your table, because they're only a thought or whisper away. So they will pull in to be with you whenever you need them to, especially in sacred times like Christmas. Okay, so enjoy the rest of this beautiful day, and always, like I always say, always stay centered in God's love and light. Thank you.